Welcome to Introduction to Philosophy of the Human Person, Topic 3, Part 2, Metaphysics, the Nature of Truth, particularly the correspondence theory of truth. So in this lesson, we will be discussing the correspondence theory of truth, how it works and its problem. We will also discuss the distinction of assertion and proposition. At the end of the lesson, the students will be able to first define what is a proposition, second, distinguish assertion from proposition, third, define the correspondence theory of truth, and fourth, examine how correspondence theory of truth works and its problem. So what is truth, guys? Mahalaga ba ang katotohanan sa atin? At kung mahalaga ito, gaano ito kahalaga? Marami ang tao na nagsasabi that truth is hindi importante ang katotohanan. Truth is not important. Well, to say such a statement that truth is not important assumes that that statement is true. And if that statement is true, is it important that we should believe that statement, that truth is not important? That statement is self-contradictory. So, hindi po tayo naniniwala doon. The person who denies truth affirms truth basically. As an introduction, truth is one of the central subjects in philosophy. It is also one of the largest. Truth has been a topic of discussion in its own right for thousands of years. Moreover, a huge variety of issues in philosophy relate to truth, either by relying on theses about truth or implying theses about truth, according to Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. So what is truth, guys? Philosophers typically use the term propositions to refer to the primary bearers of truth value. Sabi nga ni James Anderson sa kanyang article na The Lord of Non-Contradiction, it is important to recognize that propositions, as the primary bearers of truth value, must be language independent. A proposition isn't a linguistic token like a sentence or statement, although a proposition can be expressed by way of a linguistic token. So, kailangan natin maunawaan, guys, that a proposition is language independent. And we will flesh that out later on. Okay. Let's have a distinction first between a proposition and an assertion. Assertion, it is a linguistic act. Basically, an assertion is dependent on linguistic act. Okay, linguistic expression. So, linguistic expression can be spoken or written that has a truth value. At ang definition ng truth value does not necessarily mean that the statement is true or the assertion is true. Rather, truth value simply means that it is the state of being true or false or indeterminate. Take note that all declarative sentences have truth values. Declarations that assert something about the past or present are either true or false. It is an assertion if you try to make a statement about the future also, because no one yet knows if they are right or not. So no one knows yet if they are right or not. Although not all, okay, not all, because I can assert that tomorrow the sun will still rise. And even if hindi pa nangyayari iyon, I have a certainty of, in my belief, in my worldview, to actually believe that sun will rise tomorrow. But not all assertions are said that way. There are assertions that stated like this. As an example here, I assert that after this topic, there will be 100 subscribers added to my channel. This assertion has a truth value. It can be true or false, but indeterminate for now because the discussion is not over yet. The topic is not over yet. We'll just have to wait and see. Or I may assert that after this discussion, after uh, explaining this topic, the rain will stop. Okay, the rain will stop because it's raining now. So I assert that, and it has a truth value. Now we'll just have to wait and see if after this discussion it will rain, or there will be 100 subscribers added to this channel. Okay. How about proposition? As we said kanina, that proposition are language independent, and we will find out if it is really language independent. Proposition means the content of the assertion, or the meaning, the underlying meaning of what the person is saying. According to Wikipedia, proposition is the meaning of a declarative sentence where meaning is understood to be a non-linguistic entity which is shared by all sentences with the same meaning. Equivalently, a proposition is the non-linguistic bearer of truth or falsity, which makes any sentence that expresses it either true or false. Okay, so we have an example here. The clouds are white. And second, ang mga ulap ay puti. So the question is, how many propositions do we have? Think, how many propositions do we have? So, noong diniscuss ko to, may mga students na sumagot na there are 2 propositions. But the truth is, there's only 1 proposition, but I have here 2 linguistic expression of a particular proposition. Yung isa English, yung isa Tagalog. So therefore, these 2 linguistic expression has the same or have the same truth value in it. Okay? So shared ito ng one truth only, one truth value only, and it is true that clouds are white. Now, the statement the clouds are white can only be true if that corresponds to reality. So enter correspondence theory of truth, at yun yung i-discuss po natin out from the 3 natures of or nature of truth. So there are 3 natures of truth. And first one is the correspondence, second is the coherence, third is pragmatic. And we will be dealing sa discussion na ito ay ang correspondence theory of truth. So correspondence theory of truth is often traced back to Aristotle, well-known definition of truth. Sabi niya, medyo nakakahilo ang kanyang definition. To say of what is that it is not, or of what is not that it is false. While to say of what is that it is, and of what is not that it is not, is true. But virtually identical formulations can be found in Plato. Now, by plain reading of this definition, we can hardly understand this one. So, noong 20th century ay nagkaroon ito ng formulations with the help of Moore and Bertrand Russell. If you are willing to pursue this study, you can check them out. Meron pong maraming articles sa kanila. The basic idea of the correspondence theory is that what we believe or say, remember say, statement, proposition, is true if it corresponds to the way things actually are, to the facts. So to the facts about reality, or to the facts about the world. This idea can be seen in various forms throughout the history of philosophy. Its modern history starts with the beginnings of analytic philosophy at the turn of 20th century, particularly in work, as I said a while ago, by G.E. Moore and Bertrand Russell. But the label is usually applied much more broadly to any view explicitly embracing the idea that truth consists in a relation to reality. That truth is a relational property involving a characteristic relation to be specified. So characteristic relation to something or to some portion of reality to something. Therefore, the basic idea of the correspondence theory is that what we believe or states or say is true if it corresponds to the way things actually are, to the facts about reality. Sa pinakamaiksing definition, truth is that which corresponds to reality. Truth is that which corresponds to facts about the world. Truth is what is real. Truth is that which comports to reality according to the correspondence theory of truth. Again, there are three. So, paano ang thought process natin dito? First is the facts about the world. Okay? So, there are things that we already perceive to be true. And gagaya ng first lesson natin, we have the necessary preconditions or yung tinatawag natin na underlying presupposition that our senses are actually working, our minds are working. Itong mga bagay na ito na totoo na when we perceive reality, we know that we are not deceived. Sometimes we can be deceived by illusions or yung tinatawag natin na optical illusions, but we know na once we have investigated those optical illusions, at first ay nadadaya tayo, but somehow nako-confirm din naman natin. Because again, there are things that we already presuppose to be true or we already believe. And yung belief na yon, we convert that or we convert that into statement. We put that into statement. At yung statement na yon ay inimbestigahan po natin. So further investigation happens, and after that investigation, if it corresponds to the facts about the world or reality, then therefore that statement or proposition is true. Okay? So ganun po nagwo-work ang correspondence theory of truth. So say for example, we have a proposition, there is a yellow ball on the plate. So let's say that this is not just a drawing, but this is actually real as just an illustration. So in order to draw a statement, you must believe the following. First, the yellow ball. There is such thing as the yellow ball. Second, the plate. Third, the yellow ball must be on top of the plate. So if we investigate the statement, if the statement is indeed true, there is a yellow ball on the plate, and indeed, as what we see here, that there is a yellow ball on the plate, then the statement is true based on correspondence theory of truth, that the statement corresponds with reality. How about this one? There is a yellow ball on the plate, at nakikita natin sa picture natin dito as an illustration that it's not on the plate. Rather, it's under the plate. So is the statement true? Of course, this statement is false. Why? Because the statement does not correspond with the facts about the world or reality. Kasi nasa ilalim yung yellow na bola. So, however, merong problem ang correspondence theory of truth. Tinatawag nating negative fact. Okay? So, negative fact simply means, ako na po ang nag-define nito. Hindi ko po nakita ang definition nito sa internet, so ako nag-define nito. Negative fact simply means the non-existence of a thing. Okay? Something is true if it doesn't exist in reality. For example, I have a statement, there is no yellow ball on the plate. So ano lang yung kaya nating i-drawing dito? Okay? Ano yung kaya nating i-drawing dito? Yung plato lang. Yung plato lang, yung kaya nating i-drawing dito. But the statement, there is no yellow ball on the plate. Is this statement true according to the illustration? Yes, this is true. Now the problem becomes kasi you can use a different proposition without changing my very illustration or your very illustration or the very illustration that we have here. Say for example, there are no dinosaurs on the plate. The same illustration but different proposition. I can also say that there is no universe on the plate. There are no stars on the plate. There are no planets on the plate. You see, the statement will still be true, but the illustration that we have hasn't changed at all. So parang ang problema is napakadaming proposition but we have the same illustration or isa lang yung ginagamit natin na realidad. So yun yung shortcomings ng correspondence theory of truth. May problema siya about proving the negative fact. Okay? Proving the negative fact. However, guys, is it possible to prove a negative fact in a universal sense? No, it's not possible. Okay? Actually, it's possible to prove a universal negative fact. Like, for example, nakikita nyo sa image si Guy Sensei, si Jiraiya Sensei, at si Kakashi Sensei. I'm a fan of Naruto. So, kagaya nito, ito ay statement na 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 tinatawag nating universal negative. Okay? Ibig sabihin, this statement is true everywhere, objectively. So there are no married bachelors. Because by definition, bachelors are not married. So I have a typological error here. Bachelors are not married. So I don't have to examine every bachelor men in order for me to know that all of them are unmarried. Again, bachelors are not married or unmarried. So the statement there are no married bachelors ay exclusive lang sa reality that all bachelors are not married. So still, by using the correspondence theory of truth, the statement's still true. Na hindi natin kailangan mag-posit ng any proposition or negative proposition. So we still have the same negative proposition to prove that the universal negative fact is indeed or it corresponds to our statement, or the statement actually correspond to what is actually real. Now, is it possible to prove a negative fact based on this one? There are no winged dogs. Dogs are by nature not winged animals, so I don't need to investigate every single dog on the planet just to prove na there are no winged dogs. Okay? Again, this is a universal fact, and it is indeed provable. Okay? It is indeed provable. However, guys, meron talaga mga tao nagsasabi that it is impossible to prove a negative fact. And mamaya sasabihin ko kung sino yung or aling worldview ang nagsasabi ng ganon. So in conclusion, therefore, your belief is justified according to the correspondence theory of truth if that statement or that belief put into statement corresponds to the facts about the world or reality. And we also realize that there is a problem with the correspondence theory of truth in a negative facts, because one can use a different proposition using that negative proposition without changing the very illustration, or by using the same illustration or object to prove it. Okay? However, proving a universal negative fact is possible, at pinakita ko po sa inyo that there is such thing as a universal negative, and it is provable. It is provable. There are no winged animals and there are no married bachelors. So question, since merong mga tao na nagsasabing it is impossible to prove the universal negative, therefore I cannot prove that God doesn't exist, and their worldview says that God doesn't exist at napalitan ito ng iba na there is a lack of a belief in God. And basically, if you cannot prove a universal negative on your worldview, atheism, namely atheism, kumbaga, there is a universal negative in atheism, and if you're saying that atheists cannot prove a universal negative, then therefore atheism is unprovable. Ibig sabihin, hindi talaga totoo ang atheism. Or whether or not we will construct that kind of syllogism, atheism still is false. Okay? Still, false pa rin ang atheism, and sasagutin ko yan later, next slide. And how about second one? Can you prove to me that aliens as a living organism outside Earth doesn't exist? Now sa if we are going to be strict sa correspondence theory of truth, we must we must go outside of the earth in order for us to really examine each and every planet if there are living organisms outside of the earth, namely aliens. If we're going to be strict sa correspondence theory of truth. Okay? But as a Christian, I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. And proving that God doesn't exist is really impossible. Why? Not because the universal negative is impossible to prove. Rather, because God exists. You cannot prove that God doesn't exist because God exists. In Genesis 1:1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Sabi sa John 1:3 to 4, all things were made through Christ. And without Christ was not anything made that was made. In Christ was life, and life was the light of men. So by appealing to the creator of the universe, then I can say and I can prove very easy that there are no aliens that exist outside the earth, because God chooses this planet Earth for us to live, for us living organisms, including bacteria, to live. Okay? So, thank you so much for listening. If you have questions, just put it in the comment section below. And para sa mga students ko, you can watch the video again and again. At kung meron kayong questions, you can just send that through personal message sa Facebook. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and have a great day.